83 Best Quotes of Anthony Bourdain. 1. Luck is not a business model. 2. I'm not afraid to look like an idiot. 3. Without new ideas, success can become stale. 4. An ounce of sauce covers a multitude of sins. 5. The way you make an omelet reveals your character. 6. The room smelled like a gust of wind from Satan's anus. 7. It's very rarely a good career move to have a conscience. 8. I don't have to agree with you to like you or respect you. 9. Travel is about the gorgeous feeling of teetering in the unknown. 10. Your body is not a temple, it's an amusement park. Enjoy the ride. 11. Skills can be taught. Character you either have or you don't have. 12. Naturally, I'm misanthropic. But the Negronis are helping considerably. 13. You have to love a town where you can both smoke and gamble in a pharmacy. 14. My house is run, essentially, by an adopted, fully clawed cat with a mean nature. 15. You have to be a romantic to invest yourself, your money, and your time in cheese. 16. Context and memory play powerful roles in all the truly great meals in one's life. 17. Under reasons for leaving last job, never give the real reason, unless it's money or ambition. 18. Anyone who refuses to let you eat your burger at a temperature less than medium is on the side of the terrorists. 19. I'm not afraid to look like a big, hairy, smelly, foreign devil in Tokyo, though I do my best not to, I really do. 20. To me, life without veal stock, pork fat, sausage, organ meat, demi-glace, or even stinky cheese is a life not worth living. 21. I learned a long time ago that trying to micromanage the perfect vacation is always a disaster. That leads to terrible times. 22. The journey is part of the experience, an expression of the seriousness of one's intent. One doesn't take the 8 train to Mecca. 23. The lazy and the foolish compare him to Hemingway, which is a terrible injustice as Jim is both a better writer and a better man. 24. Avoid at all costs that vile spew you see rotting in oil in screw-top jars. Too lazy to peel fresh? You don't deserve to eat garlic. 25. Without experimentation, a willingness to ask questions and try new things, we shall surely become static, repetitive, and moribund. 26. When dealing with complex transportation issues, the best thing to do is pull up with a cold beer and let somebody else figure it out. 27. It's been an adventure. We took some casualties over the years. Things got broken. Things got lost. But I wouldn't have missed it for the world. 28. I don't like to see animals in pain. That was very uncomfortable to me. I don't like factory farming. I'm not an advocate for the meat industry. 29. There's something wonderful about drinking in the afternoon. A not too cold pint, absolutely alone at the bar, even in this fake-ass Irish pub. 30. I am in no way supportive of hunting for trophies or sport, would never do it and don't like it that others do. But if you kill it, then eat it, it's fine. 31. America's most dangerous sex sport was never nuclear weapons or Jerry Lewis, or even Baywatch reruns. It was, is, and probably always will be our fast food outlets. 32. Given a choice between being trapped on a desert island with a group of writers or a family of howler monkeys, I think I'd pick the monkeys. At least I could eat them. 33. Margarine? That's not food. I can't believe it's not butter. I can. If you're planning on using margarine in anything, you can stop reading now, because I won't be able to help you. 34. Life is complicated. It's filled with nuance. It's unsatisfying. If I believe in anything, it is doubt. The root cause of all life's problems is looking for a simple fucking answer. 35. Maybe that's enlightenment enough, to know that there is no final resting place of the mind, no moment of smug clarity. Perhaps wisdom is realizing how small I am, and unwise, and how far I have yet to go. 36. Only desperation can account for what the Chinese do in the name of medicine. That's something you might remind your New Age friends who've gone gaga over holistic medicine and alternative Chinese cures. 37. When I die, I will decidedly not be regretting missed opportunities for a good time. My regrets will be more along the lines of a sad list of people hurt, people let down, assets wasted and advantages squandered. 38. If I'm an advocate for anything, it's to move. As far as you can. As much as you can. Across the ocean, or simply across the river. Walk in someone else's shoes or at least eat their food. It's a plus for everybody. 39. For a moment, or a second, the pinched expressions of the cynical, world-weary, throat-cutting, miserable bastards we've all had to become disappears, when we're confronted with something as simple as a plate of food. 40. I've long believed that good food, good eating, is all about risk. Whether we're talking about unpasteurized Stilton, raw oysters or working for organized crime associates, food, for me, has always been an adventure. 41. For their own good, vegetarians should never be allowed near fine beers and ales. It will only make them loud and belligerent, and they lack the physical strength and aggressive nature to back up any drunken assertions. 42. I wanted to write in Kitchenese, the secret language of cooks, instantly recognizable to anyone who has ever dunked French fries for a summer job or suffered under the despotic rule of a tyrannical chef or boobish owner. 43. I am not a fan of people who abuse service staff. In fact, I find it intolerable. It's an unpardonable sin as far as I'm concerned, taking out personal business or some other kind of dissatisfaction on a waiter or busboy. 44. I should have died in my 20s. I became successful in my 40s. I became a dad in my 50s. I feel like I've stolen a car, a really nice car, and I keep looking in the rear-view mirror for flashing lights. But there's been nothing yet. 45. I'll be right here. Until they drag me off the line. I'm not going anywhere. I hope. It's been an adventure. We took some casualties over the years. Things got broken. Things got lost. But I wouldn't have missed it for the world. 46. A perfect day would be I have one non-food scene, one food scene, and then have a little time for myself where I can wander around. To find yourself in southern Italy, or in Hong Kong, knowing that I can actually eat a meal for pleasure. 47. Meals make the society, hold the fabric together in lots of ways that were charming and interesting and intoxicating to me. The perfect meal, or the best meals, occur in a context that frequently has very little to do with the food itself. 48. Travel isn't always pretty. It isn't always comfortable. Sometimes it hurts, it even breaks your heart. But that's okay. The journey changes you. It should change you. You take something with you. Hopefully, you leave something good behind. 49. If you're 22, physically fit, hungry to learn and be better, I urge you to travel, as far and as widely as possible. Sleep on floors if you have to. Find out how other people live and eat and cook. Learn from them, wherever you go. 50. They're professionals at this in Russia, so no matter how many jello shots or jaja shooters you might have downed at college mixers, no matter how good a drinker you might think you are, don't forget that's the Russians. Any Russian can drink you under the table. 51. As you move through this life and this world, you change things slightly. You leave marks behind, however small. And in return, life and travel leaves marks on you. Most of the time, those marks, on your body or on your heart, are beautiful. Often, though, they hurt. 52. For me, the cooking life has been a long love affair, with moments both sublime and ridiculous. But like a love affair, looking back you remember the happy times best, the things that drew you in, attracted you in the first place, the things that kept you coming back for more. 53. I have long believed that it is only right and appropriate that before one sleeps with someone, one should be able, if called upon to do so, to make them a proper omelet in the morning. Surely that kind of civility and selflessness would be both good manners and good for the world. 54. If I'm an advocate for anything, it's to move. As far as you can. As much as you can. Across the ocean, or simply across the river. The extent to which you can walk in someone else's shoes or at least eat their food, it's a plus for everybody. Open your mind, get up off the couch, move. 55. Basic cooking skills are a virtue. The ability to feed yourself and a few others with proficiency should be taught to every young man and woman as a fundamental skill. It's as vital to growing up as learning to wipe one's own ass, cross the street by oneself, or be trusted with money. 56. Travel changes you. As you move through this life and this world you change things slightly. You leave marks behind, however small. And in return, life, and travel, leaves marks on you. Most of the time, those marks, on your body or on your heart, are beautiful. Often, though, they hurt. 57. The word authentic has become a completely ridiculous, snobbish term. There are so many first and second generation immigrants making wonderful mashups of food they grew up eating. On the other hand, I'm pretty sure that every time Guy Fieri puts barbecue pork inside an eye roll, an angel dies. 58. The great Warren Zevon was asked, close to death, whether he had any important words of wisdom to pass on, and he said, "Enjoy every sandwich." I definitely enjoy my sandwiches, given how low I fell and how likely it was that there was going to be a different and tragic outcome. I'm a pretty lucky man. 59. I do think the idea that basic cooking skills are a virtue, that the ability to feed yourself and a few others with proficiency should be taught to every young man and woman as a fundamental skill, should become as vital to growing up as learning to wipe one's own ass, cross the street by oneself, or be trusted with money. 60. But I do think the idea that basic cooking skills are a virtue, that the ability to feed yourself and a few others with proficiency should be taught to every young man and woman as a fundamental skill, should become as vital to growing up as learning to wipe one's own ass, cross the street by oneself, or be trusted with money. 61. Travel isn't always pretty. It isn't always comfortable. Sometimes it hurts, it even breaks your heart. But that's okay. The journey changes you. It should change you. It leaves marks on your memory, on your consciousness, on your heart, and on your body. You take something with you. Hopefully, you leave something good behind. 62. Peter doesn't want stressed animals to be cruelly crowded into sheds, ankle deep in their own crap, because they don't want any animals to die ever and basically think chickens should, in time, gain the right to vote. I don't want animals stressed or crowded or treated cruelly or inhumanely because that makes them probably less delicious. 63. In these current circumstances, one must pick a side. I stand unhesitatingly and unwaveringly with the women. Not out of virtue, or integrity, or high moral outrage, as much as I'd like to say so, but because late in life, I met one extraordinary woman with a particularly awful story to tell, who introduced me to other extraordinary women with equally awful stories. 64. You know what's great about New York? The threshold for citizenship as a New Yorker is actually pretty short. If you come to New York and you still like it 2 years after you arrived here, and you still think it's great and you're having a good time and you haven't been just totally ground down and go limping back to wherever the fuck you came from, you know what? you're in. 65. Assume the worst about everybody. But don't let this poisoned outlook affect your job performance. Let it all roll off your back. Ignore it. Be amused by what you see and suspect. Just because someone you work with is a miserable, treacherous, self-serving, capricious and corrupt asshole shouldn't prevent you from enjoying their company, working with them or finding them entertaining. 66. I'm a big believer in winging it. I'm a big believer that you're never going to find perfect city travel experience or the perfect meal without a constant willingness to experience a bad one. Letting the happy accident happen is what a lot of vacation itineraries miss, I think, and I'm always trying to push people to allow those things to happen rather than stick to some rigid itinerary. 67. No kid really wants a cool parent. Cool parents, when I was a kid, meant parents who let you smoke weed in the house, or allowed boyfriends to sleep over with their daughters. That would make Sarah Palin cool. But, as I remember, we thought those parents were kind of creepy. They were useful, sure, but what was wrong with them that they found us so entertaining? Didn't they have their own friends? 68. I have come to realize with certainty, however, that I have the best job in the world. And that I work with some of the finest people on it. To be able to go wherever I want, when I want, do what I want, and then tell stories about what I've experienced is an incredible privilege. Who gets to do what I do? And when you're that damned lucky, how do you stop? How do you ever get off the ride? And why would you? 69. It's an irritating reality that many places and events defy description. Angkor Wat and Machu Picchu, for instance, seem to demand silence, like a love affair you can never talk about. For a while after, you fumble for words, trying vainly to assemble a private narrative, an explanation, a comfortable way to frame where you've been and what's happened. In the end, you're just happy you were there with your eyes open and lived to see it. 70. We know, for instance, that there is a direct, inverse relationship between frequency of family meals and social problems. Bluntly stated, members of families who eat together regularly are statistically less likely to stick up liquor stores, blow up meth labs, give birth to crack babies, commit suicide, or make donkey porn. If little Timmy had just had more meatloaf, he might not have grown up to fill chest freezers with Cub Scout parts. 71. It seems that the more places I see and experience, the bigger I realize the world to be. The more I become aware of, the more I realize how relatively little I know of it, how many places I have still to go, how much more there is to learn. Maybe that's enlightenment enough, to know that there is no final resting place of the mind, no moment of smug clarity. Perhaps wisdom, at least for me, means realizing how small I am, and unwise, and how far I have yet to go. 72. Cooking professionally is a dominant act, at all times about control. Eating well, on the other hand, is about submission. It's about giving up all vestiges of control, about entrusting your fate entirely to someone else. It's about turning off the mean, manipulative, calculating, and shrewd person inside you, and slipping heedlessly into a new experience as if it were a warm bath. It's about shutting down the radar and letting good things happen. Let it happen to you. 73. Good food and good eating are about risk. Every once in a while an oyster, for instance, will make you sick to your stomach. Does this mean you should stop eating oysters? No way. The more exotic the food, the more adventurous the serious eater, the higher the likelihood of later discomfort. I'm not going to deny myself the pleasures of morsel sausage, or sashimi, or even rope of ayu at the local Cuban joint just because sometimes I feel bad a few hours after I've eaten them. 74. Once you've been to Cambodia, you'll never stop wanting to beat Henry Kissinger to death with your bare hands. You will never again be able to open a newspaper and read about that treacherous, prevaricating, murderous scumbag sitting down for a nice chat with Charlie Rose or attending some black tie affair for a new glossy magazine without choking. Witness what Henry did in Cambodia, the fruits of his genius for statesmanship, and you will never understand why he's not sitting in the dock at The Hague next to Milosevic. 75. I believe that, as an American, I should be able to walk into any restaurant in America and order my hamburger, that most American foods, medium fucking rare. I don't believe my hamburger should have to come with a warning to cook it well done to kill off any potential contaminants or bacteria. I believe I should be able to treat my hamburger like food, not like infectious fucking medical waste. I believe the words meat and treated with ammonia should never occur in the same paragraph, much less the same sentence. 76. Monkfish liver. Can you sell them? How many people order them? One chef will say. I order them, says another. The fucking burger. Groans another. I can't get it off the menu. I tried, but they scream. Give them the damn burger, says another, and fucking salmon if they want it too. Just slip them the good stuff slowly, when they're not looking. A little here, a little there, as a special. Choke them with burgers but slide them tuna rare. Give them their salmon, but make it ceviche. They'll come around. They're coming around. 77. Bad food is made without pride, by cooks who have no pride, and no love. Bad food is made by chefs who are indifferent, or who are trying to be everything to everybody, who are trying to please everyone. Bad food is fake food, food that shows fear and lack of confidence in people's ability to discern or to make decisions about their lives. Food that's too safe, too pasteurized, too healthy, it's bad. There should be some risk, like unpasteurized cheese. Food is about rot, and decay, and fermentation. As much as it is also about freshness. 78. If there was any justice in this world, I would have been a dead man at least 2 times over. By this, I mean simply that many times in my life the statistical probabilities of a fatal outcome have been overwhelming, thanks to my sins of excess and poor judgment and my inability to say no to anything that sounded as if it might have been fun. When I die, I will decidedly not be regretting missed opportunities for a good time. My regrets will be more along the lines of a sad list of people hurt, people let down, assets wasted and advantages squandered. 79. I love the sheer weirdness of the kitchen life. The dreamers, the crackpots, the refugees, and the sociopaths with whom I continue to work, the ever-present smells of roasting bones, searing fish, and simmering liquids, the noise and clatter, the hiss and spray, the flames, the smoke, and the steam. Admittedly, it's a life that grinds you down. Most of us who live and operate in the culinary underworld are in some fundamental way dysfunctional. We've all chosen to turn our backs on the 9 to 5, or never having a Friday or Saturday night off, or never having a normal relationship with a non-cook. 80. I have exactly the same work ethic. I don't see writing as anything more important than cooking. In fact, I'm a little queasier on the writing. There's an element of shame, because it's so easy. I can't believe that people give me money for this shit. The TV, too. It's not work. At the end of the day, the TV show is the best job in the world. I get to go anywhere I want, eat and drink whatever I want. As long as I just babble at the camera, other people will pay for it. It's a gift. A few months ago, I was sitting cross-legged in the mountains of Vietnam with a bunch of Thai tribesmen as a guest of honor drinking rice whiskey. 3 years ago I never, ever in a million years thought that I would ever live to see any of that. So I know that I'm a lucky man. 81. Once you've been to Cambodia, you'll never stop wanting to beat Henry Kissinger to death with your bare hands. You will never again be able to open a newspaper and read about that treacherous, prevaricating, murderous scumbag sitting down for a nice chat with Charlie Rose or attending some black tie affair for a new glossy magazine without choking. Witness what Henry did in Cambodia, the fruits of his genius for statesmanship, and you will never understand why he's not sitting in the dock at The Hague next to Milosevic. While Henry continues to nibble nori rolls and remarquee at A-list parties, Cambodia, the neutral nation he secretly and illegally bombed, invaded, undermined, and then threw to the dogs, is still trying to raise itself up on its one remaining leg. 82. Vegetarians, and their Hezbollah-like splinter faction, the vegans, are a persistent irritant to any chef worth a damn. To me, life without veal stock, pork fat, sausage, organ meat, demi-glace, or even stinky cheese is a life not worth living. Vegetarians are the enemy of everything good and decent in the human spirit, and an affront to all I stand for, the pure enjoyment of food. The body, these waterheads imagine, is a temple that should not be polluted by animal protein. It's healthier, they insist, though every vegetarian waiter I've worked with is brought down by any rumor of a cold. Oh, I'll accommodate them, I'll rummage around for something to feed them, for a vegetarian plate, if called on to do so. $14 for a few slices of grilled eggplant and zucchini suits my food cost fine. 83. I wanted adventures. I wanted to go up the Nun River to the heart of darkness in Cambodia. I wanted to ride out into a desert on camelback, sand and dunes in every direction, eat whole roasted lamb with my fingers. I wanted to kick snow off my boots in a mafia nightclub in Russia. I wanted to play with automatic weapons in Phnom Penh, recapture the past in a small oyster village in France, step into a seedy neon-lit pulqueria in rural Mexico. I wanted to run roadblocks in the middle of the night, blowing past angry militia with a handful of hurled Marlboro packs, experience fear, excitement, wonder. I wanted kicks, the kind of melodramatic thrills and chills I'd yearned for since childhood, the kind of adventure I'd found as a little boy in the pages of my Tintin comic books. I wanted to see the world, and I wanted the world to be just like the movies.